Hello, it's Karusha, and I'm going to be showcasing the Choose Your Own Adventure program that I wrote with my partner Claude Yan. Let's get started. You wake up one evening in a dark forest under a starless sky. Your head is throbbing, but you muster up whatever strength you have and struggle to your feet. You accidentally hit a tree branch on the way up, and the sound of a bird's wings hitting leaves startles you. It's so dark you wouldn't even be able to spot a tiger until it had already pounced on you. Your last memory is a haze. Flashing lights, bright colors, blurry glares, and loud noises. As you attempt to observe your surroundings, you spot a pair of small but intense lights in the distance. Do you, 1. Go toward the light, or 2. Stay where you are and wait for help? Let's first try staying where we are. You decide to stay where you are and hope for the best. As time passes, you hear nothing but the blowing of wind and the chirping of crickets. You fall into a state of half sleep, half awake, and start seeing visions, unable to distinguish reality from your dreams. You see that pretty girl, or guy, you've liked for months but have been too scared to ask out. You see their gorgeous smile, silky hair, and bright white eyes staring into yours. What feels like hours pass as you drift from memory to memory. Your stressful high school days, the time you threw your friend's phone into an elephant enclosure, and your first date. You're startled by the sudden crunching of branches. Do you, 1. Run, or 2. Hide in a nearby brush? Let's choose 1 here. So let's run. Not knowing what else to do, you run. Unfortunately, you trip over something hard on the ground and fall flat on your face. You taste blood trickling down into your mouth. As you attempt to stand up, you feel a sharp pain shoot through your heart. You try to look up at your attacker, but he shoots your head down and whispers, as you slowly fade into oblivion. The end. So, as you can see, this is one of our bad outcomes. Let's try restarting and see what happens if we choose a different route. Let's still stay where we are in this case. Also, I'd like to point out that we've created error detection by allowing the user to restart the question that they're currently on if they type in something weird. So let's say if we type in something odd here, like a string of random letters, instead of restarting the user back to the beginning, it just re-asks you the same question. So instead of choosing running, let's try hiding in a nearby brush now. You scamper into the tall grass. As you nervously peek through the slits in the grass, you're able to barely make out a human silhouette. They know you're here, and they're coming. You desperately try to jump out of harm's way and fall into a still lake. You frantically stroke to the surface, but your arms fail you as air exits your lungs. You're able to make out a long shadow circling you ominously and pass out. When you come to, you're met with the bright white lights and men in surgeon outfits. They claim some divers found you drifting into shore and brought you in. You're relieved, but you can't ignore a feeling that you might have missed out on a thrilling adventure. The end. So this is one of the good outcomes. Let's see what happens if instead of choosing to stay where we are, let's try to go to the light now. Okay, go to the light. You sprint like the wind. You're aware that the space in between you and the lights could contain raccoons, snakes, or worse, but you don't care. All you hear is the quickening of your breath and the rustling of grass as you desperately scamper towards your target. All you feel is the razor wind rushing up your sleeves and down your neck. Your vision tunnels until you see only the 2 lights that seem to be staring back at you. You're almost there at 20 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet. You can make out the shape of a car, but the floor under you suddenly collapses and you tumble into the cave. You hit the ground. Hard. You feel blood on your elbows and your right foot is exploding with pain. Curiously, a torch lights a path that splits into 2 tunnels, one with a skull hanging above it. You look back, and the hole where you fell is way too high to reach. No going back. Do you, 1. Go to the tunnel with the skull, or 2. Go to the tunnel without the skull? This is the second set of decisions that the user has to make. This is the first of whether to go toward the light or to stay. This is the second. Let's go to the one without the skull. Seems probably safer, less dangerous. You decide to enter the tunnel without the skull. It's pitch black, but at least you don't have to deal with what's inside the tunnel with the creepy skull. You suddenly hear the whistling sound of wind blowing. As you attempt to run towards the sound, pain shoots up your leg as you're forced to a limp. You eventually come across a cave opening a few feet above you. Luckily, there's a stair-like pattern of rocks that'll allow you to make it out. Relieved, you start to make your way out. When you're almost at the top, a human silhouette pushes you down. The last thing you hear is a snicker before you fall down the steps and crack your skull. The end. So this is pretty obviously a bad outcome. Let's see what happens if we go to the tunnel with the skull instead now. So we do 1, 1, and we come across the third set of decisions. You decide to go through the tunnel with the skull. As you lean against the torchlit wall and limp to whatever fate awaits you, you come across a door. No windows, but there's a handle with a lock. You instinctively check your pockets, but no key. Do you 1. Attempt to barge into the door, or 2. Go back and try the other tunnel? Let's go back and try the other tunnel first, because the door seems locked. You decide to turn back for the other tunnel. It's way too risky to brute force the door down. Anyone nearby would hear you, and frankly, you're not feeling particularly trusting of anyone at the moment. As you slowly trudge towards your original starting point, your mind drifts to vision of your family. It feels like it's been so long since their argument with your dad. Is he okay? Is your family searching for you? How long have you been gone? What if... You're unable to finish that thought as you black out. You feel your cheek quivering with pain as your head falls to the ground with a loud bang. The end. As you can see, this is yet another one of our bad decisions. Bad outcomes. Let's see if instead of going back and trying the other tunnel, we attempt to barge into the door, despite the noise we could make. So in the first decision set, we choose to go towards the light. In the second decision set, we choose to go to the tunnel with the skull. In the third set of decisions, we choose to barge into the door. Here's the fourth set of decisions. You decide to barge into the doorway. You ram your shoulder over and over again into the wooden plank. It's loud. If anyone was here, they surely would have heard you by now. You can feel the doorway giving in, but your right shoulder is erupting with pain. Suddenly, you hear footsteps echoing down the tunnel behind you. You can feel your heart beating against your chest as adrenaline fills your veins, allowing you to finally break through the door. You run past the doorway and desperately place the wooden plank back in the doorway. You hear pounding and muffled screaming on the other side. Oof. You must have damaged the locking mechanism when you were breaking in. You breathe a sigh of relief and turn around to be met with nothing? There's an empty bookcase at the corner of the room and a metal pot hanging above a pile of firewood, but not much else. Who the heck lived here? When you spot a dark brown stain on the ground, you decide you don't want to find out. You shiver as a stream of pain shoots up your ankle for a split second. Do you, 1. Approach the bookshelf, or 2. Take a nap? This is the final set of decisions, the fourth set. Let's first choose to take a nap. You decide to take a nap on the cold stone floor. You can still hear banging on the door, but at this point you're too exhausted to care. Surely he can't open it, right? Wrong. The door slams open as your attacker enters the room and approaches you. You attempt to get off the ground, but a pain from your foot forces you to kneel back down. You close your eyes as you prepare for the worst. The end. Oof. Another bad decision. Let's see what happens if, instead of choosing to take a nap, we approach the bookshelf. First, so decision set 1, choose 1. Decision set 2, choose 1. Decision set 3, choose 1. Decision set 4. Logically, let's try choosing 1. You decide to approach the bookshelf. It's a dusty little thing, but curiously out of place in the room. Suddenly, the door breaks open and your attacker bursts into the room. He's a hideous one. One eye is whited out by a gash that stretches from his forehead to his mouth. His teeth are yellow and rotten, and his clothes are torn and bloody. You suspect you weren't the first to meet him tonight. No words are exchanged. He lunges at you with a knife in his right hand, but you clumsily force yourself to dodge to your right. You hear a crack in your left ankle and curse under your breath. Your attacker isn't so lucky. He hits the bookshelf headfirst and passes out on the spot. The broken bookshelf reveals a hidden passage of sorts, which you slowly crawl through with your broken ankle. The path leads to the outside, where you find the car you saw what feels like days ago. The same car that was here. There's even a GPS inside. Wow. You break a window and drive away with the car alarm still blaring, signaling the end of your crazy adventure. The end. This would be an okay ending, because you got away alive, but you broke a lot of stuff and you hurt yourself a lot. In the end, our Choose Your Own Adventure has one good outcome, one okay outcome, and 4 bad outcomes. To get the good outcome, you have to choose one all the way. To get the okay outcome, to live, you have to choose one the whole time. If you want to also get live, you can choose 2 the whole time. Every other scenario will lead to a bad outcome. We hope you enjoyed playing and watching our little adventure, and thanks again.